Okay, people. Let's see what's the deal. It's currently 11 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. Doesn't look like that there's that many people here today. Oh, a few. Fantastic. That's always fun. Plus, once again, I can't blame you since I have always set the example in class of watching YouTube videos at 2x, and so if you're watching them later at high speed, that I don't know, that's probably what I'd be doing. Anyway, it's all here for you. Synchronous distance learning and asynchronous distance learning, providing both of those for you. Now you've heard those terms and you'll be hearing them a lot in your near future. And if you're watching this live, that is synchronous distance learning. And if you're watching this later, that is asynchronous distance learning. And yeah, so I heard that about 15 times over the weekend. And so, what do we have to do? Today, we are just pretty much answering questions the uh, from chat. No questions in chat so far. And we are also going to answer questions from the submission form from the classroom. Let's see here. Let's take a quick look at the calendar. Today being the 18th of May. This is what we're doing today. Question, answer, and debugging. The performance tasks, I did that, are due Friday. Both performance tasks due and into Google Classroom assignment, and then original classrooms. Okay, so that's going to be the due date for grades for the quarter. The AP, those of you submitting for College Board AP, the deadline is Tuesday, I suppose, Tuesday the 26th. The interactions between you and College Board, like, we can help to some extent, but for the most part, you have to figure out. Are the ones that have to submit it and get the files in the correct file format and upload them and hit, submit and I'm sure and final draft and all those things. That's on you. And so yeah, so if you have questions, make sure you get them in so we have a chance to answer them. Excuse me. So the questions that we have for today, a few debugging questions. I've seen a lot of people, now that interims went out, people, uh, now they're interested. Now you guys are interested in doing the lessons from Unit 5. Here's the thing. If you don't do either or both of the performance tasks, you can't pass the quarter. If you only do both performance tasks, you can pass the quarter. So at this point, don't worry about the Unit 5 lessons. Finish the performance tasks. All right. So that would be the response to this one. Is that what we're using? Good. Okay. A debugging. We'll get to those. Let's just go in order. Didn't we do something about third period? When did that come through? All right, give me a second. I'm just going to email this person just to make sure. Gmail and actually, Mr. Drusi, can you email that person and send them the join link from? Do you see who I'm talking about? This person, Mr. Drusi. This person. Can you email them the join code for
Co-video?
For my third period, which is this.
Just paste it.
Oh yeah, I can just do that. I swear we already did this.
I think we did We did
There we
one
go.
for the college board one. But
Okay, yeah, there you go. That. All right,
yep.
thank you. Debugging. When is the AP test? Okay. There is no test. Uh, there is only the to the submission of the two performance tasks to the college board site. I think many of you have gotten that exact email, um, so that might look familiar. Can we stir? We got a bad grade on. Um, Later, I would say yes, except that you don't need to. Like I said, it's at this point, it's all about the performance tasks. Do those, and you'll be fine. All right, more debugging, debugging. When hit overall code. No, it's not a screenshot. Okay. Um, you print as a PDF. Okay. When you are using code print, let's go here and go to this and go to the code print. When you have everything here, obviously your super long algorithm and abstraction, you go to print and either save to Google Drive. Well, no, in this case you would, well, I guess it's either, but save as a PDF and you hit save. You print to PDF, and that's how you get it to PDF. It's not a screenshot. You're not screenshotting anything. Okay, so that should be it for that one. Should we put? Oh,
We just have questions in chat, so we'll get to those. We see all you all over there asking questions. We'll get to those once we finish these up.
Let's get rid of that. Let's do that. Time of loop. I don't know about AP score. Oh, thank you. Um, don't worry about a template counting as plagiarized that shows up everywhere. Where did you check? Is it? Are you checking for plagiarism in the assignment? Is that what you're talking about, Mary? Uh, okay, so yeah, when you turn into assignment, it does. Yes, if the portions that it's catching are the template, that's not plagiarism, so don't worry about it. That shows up all the time. Okay, so let's get into some debugging. Um, did we already do this one? Yes. No, we didn't do this one. Mr. DeRusi, did you just green this one out?
No, I did not. I think you did.
Oh, yeah, I may have. All right, well, let's take a look at what this is. Okay, we're going to do these in order, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Everything seems to be working fine, but our problem with the scores and lives, my problem is I didn't know to reverse it, so when ads and lives remains the same, it's a wrong click on the background. Also, score and lives not showing in number. Wow, this looks familiar. I would suggest not submitting an assignment from the semester.
It
You,
specifically states in the instructions that you can't submit assignments that you've previously done in the year.
yeah, so yeah, more than recommend. Um, uh, I don't know what to tell you, but for the sake of learning, um, let's try to figure out what's going wrong. Okay, lives, score. Score seems to be doing fine. Lives, lives, lives. Try again. Start. Score gets 5. Oh, okay. So here's the problem. We are going score, score, um, score one each time, but then you lose, and it's going back to there. You need a function that checks for everything. Um, if score, well, first of all, score gets score plus 1, and we need a function. The way to correct this is what I'm showing you. You cannot submit this for your project. But just as a recap from back when we did this, you need a recap for, well, let's put this all in another function. We're going to say check game over. The function is going to be called check game over. And we're going to run it every time something is clicked. So when we run check game over, copy, we're going to run check game over when, let me organize this. Put our variables on the top, a little white space, start over button, try again button, that's fine. Okay, so we are going to run, when the butterfly clicks, we're going to add 1 point to score, and we're going to run check game over. And when the background is clicked, we're going to take 1 away from lives and run check game over. And so we'll put here, if lives is, if score is, it's never a bad idea to do greater than or equal to, just in case something weird happens. And lives is less than or equal to 0. That way you can change your scoring to like each point is worth 2 points or 3 points, and then you don't have to worry about the score actually landing on the conditional number. And so if score is there's got to be a better way to do this. If score is greater than a set screen to win screen, and we need to reset those variables. Should we do another function? I don't know if this is actually saying reset score and lives, and reset score and lives. We're going to turn score gets 0 and lives gets 0, and then we need to call this, okay, where when we run check, if score is greater than or equal to 7, we set it to win screen and we reset the score. And you can combine this into one if statement if you wanted to, but at this point it doesn't really matter. And then if lives is less than or equal to 0, we want to set it to the game over screen and also reset score and lives. Wait, what do we call it? Oh, is it capitalized? Yeah, capitalization matters. Generally want to start things with lowercase, but AppLab does let you get away with bad habits like that. And so when we run this function check game over, we run it each time. We run it after we add a point to the score or after we take a life away. And when we run it, we're checking to see if the score is above the high amount or if it's lives is below the lower amount. And either way, either we win or lose, we want to set the scores back to 0. So in this case, now we run score goes to, let's put the score at like 5, then lose, game over, try again. Lives is 3. Oh, hold on. What happened? Run, start. Score, lives. Oh no, we set lives to 3, that's why. That's why the second time didn't work. Score, life. Try again, start, score, life. All right. So that was the problem that you were missing from this project way back. Just make sure you don't confuse this with something that is acceptable to submit for the project. Okay, next one. How do I use ready buttons if I want to store the information from them instead of checking them and switching to another? Okay, so you can. Well, we did a lot about radio buttons in, I think, part 2 of the App Lab walkthrough. Wow, that's a little meta. And when we had, what's this? Oh no, these are just the initial buttons. Let's try radio buttons, distance slider. Is it this one? Yeah, okay. So this, the part 3 of our app had a lot of stuff about radio buttons where it, wow, it's a sharp outfit. You're grouping them, and on change, you can, well, here we did a completely unnecessary but super cool feature where when you click on the radio button, it actually changes the properties. But you would have on click would be an event handler, or on change would be an event handler. And in that event handler, you could do anything. You can reset variables and have the variables hold that information, which is what variables do. All right, well, let's take a look at this. Run, continue. Okay, savory. Next. Drop down, or continue, hiking. It's always difficult to tell whether or not they have fixed it since they submitted the question. Any second, let's see what this says. Okay. Yeah. So, this is a reason why it's great to be in the live stream so that you can ask questions specifically about your projects. Okay, so I don't know what you mean by storing, not that one. Did I close it? Make it, there we go. How do I use radio buttons if I want to store information from them instead of checking them and switching to another screen? Well, if you want to do anything, the key is the event handler. And what is the first one? It's called food screen. The key is the event handler. Are you having something happen when on click of the button or on change of the radio button. If you have on click of the button, you how is this working? With all due respect, this looks like it shouldn't work. Where are you even calling these? Check results. Oh, you're not calling. Yeah, that's why. Function savory. I think you might be inverting. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Well, let's test some things. Let's continue. Let's do the first option for each thing. Okay, it went to Iceland. And why is everything going slow? That's not good. Let's try this. Did I plug in my cable? Yeah. I think I understand the problem. All right, so it is about the on the buttons. Let's try the last option for each one, and we go to Iceland. All right, so there we go. We've figured out the problem. Is this person here? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So the way that I would debug this is we have, what do we go to first? Food screen. This is next button 1. Excuse me. The when this button is clicked, we are first I would go back and give, what is killing my speeds here? Everything is super slow. Okay, I would call this radio savory, and I would call this radio sweet, and I would start with would you start with one selected? Because they might be able to break it. Okay, so first, which is fine, you have a couple options here that is a problem you may not have realized, that they can hit next without choosing one. So there's two ways to do this. One is have one selected by default. Okay, you could have this selected by default. Have one of them selected by default, or, which is a, how does everything just garbage today? Or have neither of them selected, and then but only let the next button work if one of them is selected. So you could have it like that, start default, and then when they get to that screen, and this is not solving the problem that you brought up, you could have them start as default, and the other option, which I'm going to show you guys how to do now, how did it go back? What is happening? Do I have something just like a memory leak or something? All right. So next button. All right, let's just go to food screen, design mode. I'm going to make this default for now just so I can see the things. Next button 1. So, okay, there we go. Let's go back to design mode. And why is it doing that? Okay, so yeah, So what we need to do is, if we need an if statement to check to see if either of the um, if either of these are checked. And how, what does that look like if um, what does the, is it get text, get property, property of savory button, a radio savory, get if checked, or here's what we're going to do, we're going to put an or in there, and let's undo this. Let's put an or in there. Sometimes it's easier just to use the blocks for things like this just to get the syntax right. If get property of savory but radio savory, I can't spell radio savory is checked, or why is it not letting me? Like, I have no idea if it's, there we go. If this is radio suite is checked, set screen to this. So that way the next button, this way the next button only works if one of the two is checked. So let's let's go back to the, do we have a welcome screen? Yes. And to design, let's make this default back to where we were. We'll run, continue. So right now, oh, yeah, that's why. Run. Yeah, so the next button doesn't work unless you have one of them selected. Okay, and so how are we going to do this? Let's have a variable. What do we have? We have weather, and weather is either you have 1, 2, 4 options. That makes things more complex. And then what's the other one? Excursion. Another 4 options. I think you might be, so unless you sort of trick the user into thinking that there are as many options as there are, right now you would need um, 32 different destinations because you have 2 options, then 4 options, then 4 more options is 2 times 4 times 4 is 32. And unless you have 32 different options, somewhere you need to sort of fake having that many options. Yeah, so there's that. I would recommend switching it to 2 options for each one because then it's 2 times 2 times 2 and you only need 8. And you can refer to one of the videos where was it from the 11th? We did a lot. Yeah. So the one from the 11th has a lot of information about radio buttons and giving options and that sort of thing. So I won't spend everyone's time doing that. But some things to take away are um, the things I showed you, and that you can find the information from the May 11th video. And again, I also recommend decreasing the number of options, even though it's not as useful an app. We are more interested in getting it completed rather than having a fantastic app with 32 possible outputs. Okay, so hopefully that's satisfactory. Let's go to shoot, see. All right, let's look back here. Okay, how specific does the oval selecting the code? I'm trouble putting it over around all of the algorithm without including code I don't want as part of. Well, you can move around the code before. You have two options if you want to include things. You can use multiple ovals. You can, let's take a look at the create task folder. Okay, so you have a couple options for this solution or this problem. You can use multiple ovals. Like, let's find a. Do I have a project with a ton of stuff? Okay, so if I wanted, this was my project, which is not something I would submit because it's not my work. Okay, you can do, for the code print issue, you can put oval 0 around that and oval 2 around that if that's what you're counting. You can also, for the portion on the template or the portion on the written response where you submit things, you can, copy this and then copy the other portion. Okay, so I think that solves your problem. Not positive, but as far as including things or not including things you don't want, you can use the two ovals. Make sure in your written response you explain that situation, and then whatever you put in the ovals pretty much is what you need to put in your written response, and you can just include it that way. Text mode, copy paste. How far are we into this? This looks like we've been going 42 minutes already. Geez. 42 minutes into the stream. So counting the getting started. See stream from 5:18 minute 42. And let's go back, print the check results. Okay, a couple more debuggings. And let's see what. Did we just do that? I need to clean this up. Give me a second. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of. No, I like that. Let's get rid of that. Need that. Is that this? Okay. The function statements written. I've called my function in the program. Don't we have this wrapping? Mr. Druzy, can you make this thing wrap around?
Yeah.
You're killing me here. All right, so this does look like the one we just went over.
Yeah,
And
new ones that come in don't wrap. You have to reselect the whole column and then select wrap text. It's annoying. It doesn't apply the formatting
yeah,
to new submissions. Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, so the check results thing again. I would we went over a similar situation with the in the stream from 511, and instead of in that one we had based on the result um, set text of a text box to something. In this case, you can do based on the result set screen, which is a that's a good idea because for yours it's nice to have a picture and whatever. Although in that one we did use a picture of the result, but pretty much that's how I would solve this. Um, yeah. So yeah, all this is not. This doesn't really make super sense. Yeah. So answered also previously. And I think we only have one more. Let's call this and can't figure out how to get my calculator to work. Change the batteries. All right. So is this Eric's? I vaguely recall. This looks familiar. Could we create a question? I don't know if it is Eric's. Wow, I have a good memory. Um, I don't know if students are accessing these. Um, Mr. Rusi, do you know if you posted this or shared this responses form somewhere?
Yeah, the form. So when they go to the calendar, there's two links at the top. There's a submit questions form, and then there's the answers to questions forms. So they can get to this form.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So you guys can see the responses later on. Um, why does it keep doing that? Yeah, other than just on stream. All right, let's try to figure out the whole calculator situation. Um, Somebody just emailed me, Mr. Okay, so these, hold on. We'll answer a couple of emails that came in the last, or like right before stream started. Um, at the same time, that's strange. We'll answer those. So if you're watching now and you sent an email, um, some point on Monday morning, we'll make sure to get through those. Although, question submission form, if it's about this type of thing, tends to work better. All right. Apparently, this does not work. It already looks above my pay grade, but let's. Okay, first instinct or first. Um, Trying to get the user to input values, then use physics equation to come up, but it comes up nah. Also, I'm working on other screens. My problem is on the engineering, on the energy screen. Okay, first I would, you can't have set number, you can't get number or set number just run right when the program starts. Everything needs to be in an event handler or in a function that is called from an event handler. So on um, so everything's going to be on event, and for the sake of um, the performance task, I would put, even though technically everything is inside of energy button is your go, I would put everything in functions just to sort of separate it, and then in the um, energy button call those functions. It's a little bit sort of, well, I do think it's good from um, a standpoint of organization, but it also, I think they try to steer you away from relying on event handlers because those are technically part of the library, which is all of these things. And they want your abstraction to be student um, student created. So what I would do is first I want to make sure these variables are global, but I don't want to create them or don't want to assign them until the button is hit. So let's put them here. We need to change that. We need to get rid of the vars here. And I mean, it doesn't really change anything, but need to get rid of, should probably just have these start out as just initialize or initiate or declare, I forget the term. Just make these variables. And then, but don't assign them anything until till the button assign values. Don't want to call it assigned variables because that's sort of like a little too on the nose. Okay, so when we click the button, we need to run assign variables, and we actually need to run it before we do set text. I would also do these calculations in a function and then have your set text to, ooh, awesome. This could be a return function. We'll call this calc calc kinetic, calkin, and call another function calc pot. And let's calc pot. So we need another variable. Let's create a variable called potential result and kinetic result. And oh wait, you have these here. That's strange. And we don't need this anymore. And so we're going to set text to calc result, calc kinetic to kinetic is kinetic. We can actually put this inside here, and this is really could have done it a different way, but I'm trying to make this look as impressive as possible. And so for kinetic, we are going to pass to it mass, velocity. Kinetic is mass times velocity times velocity. So we only need two things. Um, we don't need this. Let's just go ahead and do the calculation here. We don't need to turn this into that equals mass times velocity times velocity. And then we can, does it give us a return? Yeah. Return can result. And wow, is this even possible? Can result. Not sure if this is going to work. Let me, before I blow everything up, let me make a copy of this. And I think I can put a return function inside of this concatenation. So we are going to put a function here called assign, no, not assign value, it's called calckin. And we are going to pass to it, I need to use different things here. Call it mass1, vel1, and then, so these parameters work as variables, but I don't want to use the same, like, for real, can we make a typeface where things don't look the same? Like, sans serif L looks just like lowercase l looks like capital I. That's a whole nother me issue. Mass times velocity. And so we're going to set the text of this to the words. Your kinetic energy is plus. Then we're calling a function with two parameters. And this function, it doesn't matter. It's just a coincidence that this first parameter is this. It doesn't have to be. It's whatever we call here is whatever number gets put in here, and mass is being assigned when we call the function assign values. And really the whole point of this is just to look cool. Mass, velocity, yeah. So I used way too large numbers. 2 kilograms at 3 meters per second should be 18. Ha, math. Okay, the next one, I'm not going to do the next one for you, but you can kind of do the same thing. Okay, so this one, we have an issue with the frequency lambda screen. Text input 1, 2, and on event, frequency lambda. I don't know enough science to know what you're going for here. So why don't you, even though I know who it is, person who submitted this question, make your changes and resubmit the question. Oh shoot, we're getting kind of close. Are you here? You are here. I'm not done with the frequently wavelength screen. let's um, Seneca, I would say yes. Oh, wait, I'm answering like 5 questions in my brain at the same time. Okay, so I would say Eric, make the changes and uh, infer the other um, changes or complete them, and then um, give me some more information, like, no, not this one, like up at the top, what things are supposed to look like, or what calculations, and, or pretty much this return function that sends out parameters and returns a value um, that slides into this concatenation. Wow, that's a lot of vocab there. You should be able to work out with on frequency button event. Um, Seneca, I would say you can use 3 ovals total. Just make sure that you explain them in your written response. And I kind of mentioned this earlier with the um, the thing. If you really only need multiple, as far as I know, you really only need multiple ovals if you are trying to, if they're not next to each other. I think if your main algorithm uses 2 other algorithms that are right next to each other, 1 oval is fine, I think. If your main algorithm uses your 2 sub-algorithms are here or not contiguous, I would use 2, but then I would be sure to use, I already closed it, make sure you copy both texts into your written response. Um, Sammy Sploit, I would say that uh, don't worry about the Unit 5 questions or the Unit 5 lessons, but because even if you have not done the Unit 5 lessons, in other words, even if your grade is currently 0, because there's only 3 grades on there, you need to you can still pass the class without having done them if you do both performance tasks. You cannot pass the class if you don't do the both performance tasks. So in this particular situation, I would say don't worry about the Unit 5 lessons, just do the 2 performance tests. Okay, and I think that we'll about wrap it up. Make sure that you understand that you are submitting your 2 assignments, which is really 5 documents. The Create task has the 3 documents, and the Explore task has the 2 documents. You are submitting them to the assignments that are in your original Google Classrooms, which are look like this. They do not look like this. And make sure you are submitting all of the documents that you need to, which is for the Create test, the video, the written response, and the code print. For these, I suppose you can submit it either. I know you guys are creating. You can submit your written responses in Google Docs if you want to. CodePrint has to be a PDF. That's how you get it out of CodePrint, the print PDF. I suppose you can print to or save to Google Drive, but it shows up as a PDF. We did that. We showed that in another stream. And Yeah, so make sure you're submitting all parts of them. We'll probably do another stream on Wednesday, I'm guessing. The due date, like, I don't want to give you guys an out for laziness, but this will be the due date for full credit. We'll not call it the deadline, but it's also the last day for seniors. So um, if your goal is to pass the class, especially if you the um, need the class for graduating, you should just go ahead and do them on time. This is a life skill that unfortunately I didn't learn until later in life. That by later in life I mean college. That if you're going to do it, you might as well do it on time. It doesn't change the amount of work. It just changes the score that you get for it. Oh, you guys can't see my screen right now. Yeah. Okay, so we'll probably do a stream Wednesday. So maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I don't know. Check um, the combined Google Classroom page. We have always submitted, or not submitted, posted stream times, or whether or not, or whether a stream is not going to happen. That's always there. I usually get to it by 8 or 9 p.m. It's always done by the time you wake up, and there's that. Especially as we come down to the end, it would really benefit you to to show up to the stream so that you can ask questions in stream. Ask questions live, especially if the question that you submit is not completely answered, or you still have questions, or I don't know. It's just a lot more productive if you guys show up live, and it's more fun. It's nice to talk to or type to other humans. And oh wait, do we have a couple of emails that are relevant? The video is called something something. I suppose, Sophia, I guess if it is an MP4, that is one of the acceptable file formats. Create task. To Okay, so here's another debugging question. And by great, I'm not being sarcastic. I do genuinely enjoy the debugging questions. And um, um, interesting. Okay, so let's take a look. This will be the last thing, I think. Did I just... Oh my god, so many emails. Okay, but for some reason the binary to decimal converting function is not working when I use a console. Okay, yeah, I thought we answered this last time, second to last time. The issue is we're not, I remember this one specifically, it does not accept this as a number. It doesn't even accept it as a decimal number. I remember the first two work because it does count this as 0 and it does count this as 1. It doesn't know what to do with that. What we are actually creating with this one is a string, which a string of our what's it called? Our variable called result binary. We really shouldn't call it binary because it's really just a string, meaning in quotes, like the character, the ASCII character on the oh God, I gotta remember to switch it back. String display small screen. Okay, so the this one, the what we actually need to do is instead of counting this as hello computer. Oh yeah, well let me delete this. We shouldn't really call this binary because even though it's using ones and zeros, the computer is not counting it as ones and zeros. Like in binary, this would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 4. Um, remember the flippy do, the good old days. It's not counting as binary, and it's not even counting as decimal, where this is 10, and this is 11, and this is 100, and this is 101. It can't figure that out. It is looking for a string, meaning the actual characters, the words on, or the letters on the keyboard, 0 and 1, which is what we are creating here. We are creating a string called result binary, or the variable result binary is a string of the variable size plus, I put a space there because I don't want it to actually add the numbers together, which is what would happen if I just put size, which size is either 0 or 1 plus 0, 1 plus 0, 1. This wouldn't come out with the result that we're looking for. So the solution to this is still turn these into strings, which is a little disappointing. I didn't spend any time trying to figure out how to create a binary calculator, which a binary calculator or binary conversion app would be a great app. You just get the app to do the actual calculating, but it's a little difficult because you actually would need to um, there's a couple of things like, so in with arrays, lists, which thought we had a list of. This is strange. This is an old one. Remix, is it this one? Yeah, okay, so we had an array of breeds that you needed to go back and actually put in the name of the breed. Is bulldog one word? Bulldog? Yeah, that looks right. Put in the name of the breeds. You can console log or use breeds.length, which is something that's useful in a for loop where it will tell you how many things are in a list. I think you can also console log, yeah, so we did this, or use the length of a string. So result, oh yeah, we did go back and change this. Result decimal is a string, meaning like words, but you can use its length. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. We're looking for a length of 3. Nope, undefined. No, AppLab doesn't have length. Hmm. All right. Maybe I'll work on trying to figure out the best way to do a binary calculator. You would probably just have to make it always 8 characters or something like that and just limit it and count zeros from the beginning. And then you would do, whatever squared plus whatever, and just work the flippy do backwards, which we can do that on stream if we don't have any questions next time. So, do we have senior spinner now live Stephanie? Okay, I think that's it. Mr. Drusi, do you have anything else?
No. I think just real quick, and this is really for like seniors, because of the stuff going on with code.org and we can't switch between. If you have an incomplete for marking period 3, um, or you want to get your like grade up for marking period 4, email one of us, and we can explain some options to you. I think this goes more towards my students than Mr. Holtz. Um, but yeah, we're kind of our hands are kind of tied with code.org, the way it's designed and set up. Um, so yeah, email
Yeah,
us if you have questions or concerns. Communicate is the best way to do it, and
yeah.
hopefully we'll get you passed and get you out of here.
And for those of you who are emailing questions, I tend to check my email and respond to emails like an hour before whenever we stream or a half hour before whenever we stream. So don't think that I'm ignoring you. Also, it's a good time to check your email before a new stream so that you could be in stream and ask follow up questions or, in chat during stream. But yeah, so that was a good stream today. Feels good. And I would say count on Wednesday just because we're doing question and answer stuff. We need more questions to answer. That's that. All right, so we will talk next time. Okay. All right. Adios.